Hi, Grizzlies, and welcome back to another episode of Grizzly True Crime. My name is Gisela K, and sorry for being late. My lights were not working; they're still on, so I've made a plan. Because in South Africa we say "a boer maak 'n plan." Okay, that means we make a plan. Thank you so much for being here today. Today, Bryan Kohberger is going to be back in court, so that's what we're here for. They're not live streaming from the court, but they are allowing cameras in the court. Okay, so afterwards we'll be able to see the footage like we did last time. Let me just quickly turn the subscribers only mode on. How many have we got here? Yeah, we've got quite a few people here. Thank you for being here. If you like me making a plan, sorry about the shadows and things. Like the video, share the video, hashtag Idaho 4 and Grizzly True Crime would be great, especially on Twitter, so that we can easily find each other there and retweet and all that kind of stuff. All right, so I've got lots to show you today. Of course, we've got clips, we've got stuff from the last court proceeding as well, in case you missed it. I got documents and all sorts, so thank you. You like the lighting? Looks great. I'm literally using my phone light. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you is, of course, Bryan Enton. Bryan Enton is there again in court today. Lexi says, "You look fancy." Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Yes, damn, I'm making a plan. Okay, so let's listen to what Bryan Enton says here. No, we're going back to the beginning. You know what? When you want to throw your computer off the balcony. Let's go again.
That she actually saw the killer. Hey everybody, this is Bryan Enton in Moscow, Idaho. Wanted to give you an update on the court hearing that will be happening on Thursday. It's going to be at 8 in the morning, and we are told that it's expected to be relatively
Can you hear it now?
short, and they are mainly going to talk about scheduling. They're going to be talking about scheduling a preliminary hearing. Now, first of all, there's a possibility that the defense could waive the preliminary hearing, so that could happen. But if the defense doesn't do that, both sides are going to come up with a date and time that works for them, where they will set the preliminary hearing. And it's at the preliminary hearing that could be really something, because we expect to hear more evidence if that hearing happens, and they could also call witnesses. So we could possibly hear from the surviving roommate who was in the house behind me, who told police that she actually saw the killer. That person could be called to the stand up at a preliminary hearing. Cameras will be allowed inside the courtroom. So we will have video. We'll be able to show you video of what happened inside, but they're not allowing a live stream. So we won't be able to put that video out until after the hearing happens. Also new here in Moscow, classes have officially started at the University of Idaho. You know, they were out on winter break. They officially started on Wednesday. Students just seem relieved. There were more students walking around. People felt safer, they told us, but there is still this deep sense of sadness, as you can imagine, because so many people on the campus knew one of the victims, and it's obviously going to take a very, very long time for people to heal. So we'll obviously have the latest from here. We'll be at the hearing, we'll be inside, and we'll let you know what happened.
Okay, so you heard it there. That's what's happening. There'll be no live streaming. There will be cameras in the courtroom. It's happening right now. I see a lot of people also confused about the time. Remember yesterday we looked at the documents. We love documents because they got the facts on them, right? And it's happening at 8 a.m. It was supposed to be 10, then they moved it to 8. And it's Pacific time. So Idaho's got 2 time zones, and they're doing the Moscow, Idaho time, 8 a.m. PST. All right? So that is what is happening there. I do want to show you one thing quickly. Let me just quickly find it. 1 second, please. If you guys are still going about the not hearing and hearing, don't worry. All the sound is fine now. So just make sure you catch up on 1.5 speed as well. That would be great. Okay. So hold on 1 second. I want to show you this one image, which is just so, it helps us understand it so much better. Gotta go to find my Twitter. Again, thank you for being here. Some of you are still saying, I can hear it, can't hear it. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it. I'm going to bring this over to this page and show you this. I really like this. You know I love a good visual to help us understand things, right? Okay, a preliminary status hearing and a preliminary hearing are 2 different hearings, because some people are like, oh my word, is he going to be pleading guilty today or not guilty? What's going to happen? It's not time for that yet. Not time for that yet. Thank you, Katie Lynn. You're awesome, G. Thanks for your patience to bring this info to us. We love you. Thank you so much. So, today is a status hearing, okay? It's not a preliminary hearing. It's a status hearing to decide if they're even going to have a preliminary hearing. They say it's going to be short, to the point. They're just deciding how to proceed forward, you know. So now what happens? They say preliminary status hearing scheduled for Thursday, January 12th. That's today, 8 a.m., happening now. at the status hearing, the defense will choose whether they want a preliminary hearing. The defense, right? Then, if they choose to waive it, you can see that I love these charts. Okay, so if they choose to have a preliminary hearing, then that must occur before January 19th, unless extraordinary circumstances exist. So write that date down. So, if they are going to say, yes, we want a preliminary hearing, which I would imagine the defense would want, but you never know. Then they say it must occur before January 19th. And they said the defense, if they waive it, then that's when they enter a plea. At the preliminary hearing, they decide no probable cause, defendant is released, or probable cause, the defendant is held for trial, and then the plea is entered. Okay. So Caroline says, I already know his status. He is a numbnuts, a nutbutt. Also, to clarify, yesterday when I said I'm all Kohbergered out, just know that I'm not tired of the case. Oh, hell no. I'm on this case. I'm following every single development on the case. When I say Kohbergered out, there's like a little fan club forming, and sometimes I realize maybe you guys aren't aware of what I'm saying, even like, because I receive so many emails and there's so much on Twitter and everything. I'm like, no. I don't like the attention that he's getting. Where people are like, ooh, is he hotter or Ted Bundy hotter? Which one is like Kohberger is like a little celebrity right now. And that's what I'm tired of, is seeing that status. That's not what we want ever. And I've always been against that, as you know. If you know me from OG days, even from before the YouTube days, you know. Thanks, Kimberly. He waived a speedy trial. All right. Okay. So we have that I wanted to show you. That graphic just helps me a lot to know what the hell is going on. Then, today he'll probably be arriving again in his slip-on canvas shoes for inmates. Okay, so just don't confuse us with the Vans again. Don't confuse it. Oh yeah, 2 things to debunk. Number 1, he wasn't wearing Vans going from the, into the last court hearing. Number 2, the leaked audio was debunked. Number 3, the guy at the candlelight vigil, not him. Poor guy, not him. Debunked. Okay, so we've got that. Now, if we go to, I just want to quickly check, before I put anything on, and I will update you. As I said, there's no live streaming. All the updates are going to be pouring in. It's already 1:15, so soon, and we will be looking at all of that right here. Okay, if you want to send me emails, it's grizzlytruecrime@gmail.com. Let me just quickly open this, and I want to show you here. Okay. The latest. Let's see what's happening. We've got JB and Bryan Enton on it. Damn, they say Bryan Kohberger's preliminary hearing has been set. There you go. Okay, so not by June 26th, huh? So they do want a preliminary hearing, okay? And they want it by June 26th. So it was meant to be by what? By June 26th. Sorry about that. I'm like June 26th. Holy crap. So these are the extraordinary circumstances, as you can see. What we just said from that little graphic. Oh, yes. Dana, thank you. And Robin says, Bryan Enton just live tweeted. Yes, thank you. You and me both twinning over here. Thank you so much. Wow. Okay, so Bryan Kohberger's preliminary hearing has been set for June 26th at 9 a.m. I better put that in my calendar. And I'm old school. I like pens and paper calendars. He was in court today in an orange t-shirt and told the court that he waived his right to a speedy preliminary hearing. No bail. Okay. June it is. My word. So remember what we just read? January 19th, unless extraordinary circumstances. Oh yeah, these were the extraordinary ones. So here we already go, as we know how it goes when investigations get to this phase. We see it with Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, delay after delay after delay. So okay, June will be the preliminary hearing. Wow. Goodness. Okay. We can look at that graphic again. And then JB says, Idaho murder suspect in court. We'll have streaming coverage. We love JB, right? JB, Bryan Enton. Yes. JB and Bryan Enton. Okay, so the status hearing is there. And then, damn, look at his face there. Quite something. I like to see all these, the top from hashtag Bryan Kohberger, to see like what's the latest, what's happening, right? The hearing today, I wanted to show you this. They say Bryan Kohberger will have his court hearing, which will be short. It's a status hearing, 8 a.m. Moscow time, 11 a.m. Eastern time. No live streams allowed inside, but video recording is and can be uploaded after. If you guys find cool videos and things that you want me to show in the stream, send it to me on email. I'm monitoring my email as well, as much as there's hundreds and hundreds of unread emails. My word, ones I still need to work through. Sorry about that. But send me things if you find things before I do. It's a long way off, yeah. Algo says, I can't see his defense waiving a preliminary hearing. The case is still a bit contentious. They cannot give the prosecution any upper hand beyond what they have. I know, right? Damn, okay. Yeah, Angie's like, it's over. Yes, you know what's not over? Us, over here, together, looking at everything we can. All right, so here is the courthouse that he was going to, as you can see. Latah County Courthouse. Indeed. I'll go back to Brian Inton's tweets in a moment. Discovery request, we saw that as well. Back at court, 8 a.m., status hearing. Cool. So let me remove this quickly, and I want to go and find Brian Inton, shall we? Yes. Oh, yes. Angela says, I hope they'll be watching him. He better not try to offer himself to get out of it. I hope not either. He better be kept safe. Okay, so, yep, that's pretty much what we have there. So let's see what else I have lined up for you here. The set for Thursday. We're waiting to see more updates here on News Nation. Got more news for us? Okay. What to expect from Kohberger's court hearing for Thursday. The man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students is expected to be back in court on Thursday morning. Bryan Kohberger, 28, faces 4 counts of first-degree murder for the deaths of Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Kaylee Goncalves, and Madison Mogen. He also faces one count of burglary for entering their home. Last week, Kohberger made his first court appearance in Latah County, Idaho, where a judge ordered he be held without bond. So that's still in place. He's not entered a plea in court. Thursday's court appearance is a preliminary status hearing, which typically determines the next steps in the case, and a magistrate judge will discuss scheduling with his attorney and the prosecutor. It's scheduled to begin 8 a.m. Pacific time. It's already happened. It's over, right? I'm just explaining in hindsight so we all understand what happened here. Sometimes decisions will be made at a status conference that change the trajectory of the case. For instance, a defendant could waive their right to a speedy trial or agree to skip the preliminary hearing. I'll answer your question now. But more often, the conferences are about things like agreeing on future court dates, discussing how many days each side will need to present testimony, or making sure both sides have access to any evidence they need. The next major court appearance could be a preliminary hearing, which it will be June 26th, when prosecutor Bill Thompson will be expected to show the magistrate judge that he has enough evidence to justify moving forward with the felony charges. Karen says, Gisela, do you think the defense will try for a change of venue? I do. And so does his former attorney. We'll look at some of those calls that he had with Brian Inton yesterday as well. He's saying there's no way that there will be, a fair trial with an unbiased jury in Moscow, Idaho. Could it happen in Idaho elsewhere? Maybe, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a change of venue. The next major court appearance will be this preliminary hearing when prosecutor Bill Thompson will be expected to show receipts, basically, right? If the magistrate judge agrees, the case will be bound over into Idaho's 2nd District Court, and a district judge will take over the felony case. Then Kohberger will have a chance to enter a plea to the charges. So not yet. There's a preliminary hearing, and only then will he have a chance to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty, right? I'm guessing he's gonna go as they all go, right? Not guilty. Unless there's a plea deal on the table. We never know if that's going to happen too. And based on everything we know about him, I don't know. To me, he's a little bit unpredictable. He's an interesting fella, huh? Okay. There's no guarantee that a preliminary hearing will occur, however. Defendants often agree to skip the preliminary hearings for all sorts of reasons, which in this case now didn't happen. And skipping one doesn't imply any admission of guilt. Likewise, if a defendant loses a preliminary hearing, they are still presumed innocent in the eyes of the law, and the preliminary hearing cannot be used against them when the case goes to trial. The prosecutor has not yet said if he will seek the death penalty in Kohberger's case. If Thompson decides to seek the death penalty, he has to file a formal notice with the court no later than 60 days after Kohberger enters a plea. A magistrate judge has also issued a gag order barring the attorneys and any agencies involved from talking about the case. So you might think, well, why is his former attorney talking about it? Because he's in Pennsylvania. The gag order is in Idaho. According to the documents, authorities began suspecting Kohberger for the murders less than 2 weeks after the November 13th slayings. Detectives connected him to the murders through his DNA that was found on a knife sheath at the murder scene and cell phone records. So, of course, now they would have his DNA. They would have taken his DNA. Before, they had the single source DNA on the knife sheath, and then they compared that to the trash. They went through the trash, right, in Pennsylvania, and could match that 99.9998% to his dad's DNA. But now that he's been arrested, they would for sure have his DNA and will be making those comparisons for the case as well. Okay, and for you guys that are saying, QJo says, what's YouTube going to talk about now? Well, if you know me at all, we have a ton of cases still to talk about always. It's not just this case. There's so many cases to talk about. We are going to be talking about and continue to deep dive the Velo and Chad Daybell case. Those trial, I mean, that should be in April is when the trial's supposed to start. But we don't know if they're going to go into a plea deal. Nate Eaton from East Idaho News was saying something along those lines the other day. So there's a lot of cases I follow. I just don't cover everything because I'm just one person. You got a clone machine or what? Yes. Playing the hearing. Robin like the bird. Where? Tell me. Okay, we go into it. Take this off the screen immediately. We're going to it. Hold on. Let's go to WFLA and see. But we haven't seen JB for a while, huh? Okay.
Idaho versus Bryan Kohberger. Mr. Kohberger is in custody. He is appearing here in court with his attorneys, Ms. Taylor, Mr. Logston, Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jennings, appearing on behalf of the state. This is the time set in the matter for the preliminary hearing status conference. So I am going to inquire of counsel. Ms. Taylor, what's the status at this time?
Thank you, Your Honor. We are going to ask the court to set preliminary hearing out into June. We would request the 3rd or 4th week of June and probably 4 or 5 days for preliminary hearing. Mr. Kohberger understands his right to a timely preliminary hearing, and he's willing to waive the timeliness to allow us time to obtain discovery in this case and be prepared.
And Mr. Thompson, are you in agreement with that?
The state has no objection to that, Your Honor. Ms. Taylor reached out to us by email yesterday with her proposal. On reflection, the state's calendar would be better in the month of July, but we will make the end of June work if that's the court's preference. And I haven't had a chance to talk to Ms. Taylor about that. I'm sorry, I know that's last minute.
That's okay. The court's calendar is going to be better towards the end of June, early July. So would that work, Ms. Taylor, for your scheduling on your other matters?
Your Honor, yes. If we take that 4th week in June, that's actually best.
Okay. So, Mr. Kohberger, I need to speak to you for a moment then. Sir, you do understand, and Ms. Taylor has represented here, that she's advised you of your right to have, or fully discussed with you, the right that you have, which is to have your preliminary hearing within 14 days of the date that you initially appeared before this court. As you recall, when I advised you of your rights, that hearing is a probable cause hearing, where the state has to establish that more likely than not, these felony offenses were committed and you were the one that committed the felony offenses. If you waive your right to a speedy preliminary hearing, it does not mean that you're giving up your right to have a preliminary hearing. It simply means that you would not be able to come back and challenge that the state did not present probable cause within 14 days. Do you understand?
Yes.
Have you had enough time to speak with Ms. Taylor about your decision to waive your right to a speedy preliminary hearing?
Yes.
Do you need any additional time to do so?
No.
Then I will ask at this time, as to the 5 counts, felony counts that were charged in the criminal complaint that was filed on December 29th of 2022, are you waiving your right to a speedy preliminary hearing and agreeing that that hearing can be held outside the 14-day period?
Yes.
And Ms. Taylor, do you concur with his waiver?
I do, Your Honor. Thank you.
I will find your waiver of speedy preliminary hearing is knowing, intelligently, voluntarily entered here in open court with the assistance of counsel. We will go ahead and set the matter for preliminary hearing. Monday, June 26th at 9:00 a.m. And I will go ahead and reserve the week, so June 26th to June 30th, in the event that we need all 5 days for presentation of evidence. And just so council knows, it will begin at 9 a.m. each of those days. Is there anything further to address at this time in the case, Mr. Thompson?
Not from the state's perspective, Your Honor, no.
All right. Or Ms. Taylor?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Kohberger, then you will be remanded into custody on your same no bail at this point in time, pending further proceedings. Again, we'll send notice out to council, and we will be in recess for this morning.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Breaking news on.
That was loud with a Grizzly boost on. Okay, so yeah, I saw the cuts on his face and also kind of around his neck here. I'm just thinking it's probably the prison razors he's not used to. But I mean, it could be anything for all we know. What is it? I don't know. Very interesting to see that, of course. So now you've seen the footage right here live. And yeah, his vegan diet is a potato. No more shopping in Moscow. I know, right? He's probably in prison because they are, of course, accommodating. He's got rights now, you guys, you know? As someone says with legal experience, the only rights that matter right now are his rights, which is unfortunate to hear, but they do. He's got rights. He's going to be having his vegan meals there in prison and beans, rice, potatoes, whatever. But he does look very, like he's lost a lot of weight. He looks really stressed. He looks like he's sweating it, as someone said. And then his face is all cut. So I don't know. Of course, this would be a very stressful time. He is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, as we know. Let's see what else I just have here for you. While I do that, did you guys see my YouTube shorts where I read Ethan Chapin's family statement to you guys? I also want to show you Brian Inton's conversations with the former attorney of Bryan Kohberger, which would be these videos right here. This we might have to boost as well. So just hold on 1 second. Okay, we're going to boost now. Here we go. So have a listen to this. There's a lot of information in here as well.
Pennysylvania, what was your first impression?
When I met Bryan Friday night, the night he was arrested, Bryan was very cordial. He was calm. He was aware of what was going on. He was shocked by the arrest, but he certainly was easy to talk to, very intelligent, and I really had no issues talking to him.
Did you talk about the details of the case?
When I walked into the room and I shook Bryan's hand, before Bryan could even, I think, say hello, I basically cut him off and said, Bryan, I'm merely your attorney for your extradition. I don't want to know any of the details about the actual facts or circumstances of the case or the allegations against you. That's for your attorney once you get to Idaho to talk about. I'm simply here to talk about the extradition and the elements surrounding the extradition proceedings.
Did you get the sense, because he was getting his PhD in criminology and had his master's, that he had a good understanding of the process more so than like a regular client you may have?
Well, you have to understand the clients that I normally have don't even have a high school education, let alone a degree from a college. So it was much easier to talk to him about how things would proceed and how the hearing would go than my usual clients, being a public defender. But yeah, it was pretty easy to talk to him. He was aware. He did ask questions about how things would go. He wasn't fully aware of the legalese behind the hearing and what would be expected. But I certainly know after explaining to him, he understood.
Why did you decide to release the information about the Indiana police stops? Because I think we got it from you first that those stops had happened.
I think it is accurate. It came from me. It really just came in conversation with Bryan and his father. I was aware that I was trying to make sure that they knew the date that they came back from Pullman, just to make sure that it establishes that he would have been in and around the area at the time of the incident. Never contested. He had been in Washington State University up until mid-December. But when I talked to his father, he had talked about being stopped on the way home twice by Indiana State troopers, twice back to back. So it's something his father had told the FBI or Idaho State Police or Pennsylvania State Police, whoever interviewed Michael here in Pennsylvania, he had already told that to authorities. So I felt comfortable saying it as part of one of the interviews that I had done, that he had been stopped, because I felt a little suspicious about it, that he may have been followed from Washington State, although I think that has been debunked to some degree.
So when you were representing him in Pennsylvania, and I saw you in court, obviously you had limited information. Then when we got here to Idaho, the probable cause was released. What was your reaction? I'm assuming you've read the 18 pages. What was your reaction to all of that evidence?
I immediately was given the affidavit of probable cause when it was released, if I recall correctly, by... I'll restate this then, Brian, so it's clear. I'm just trying to remember who actually gave it to me the second it came out. So I immediately read the affidavit of probable cause. I believe a news media outlet that I had been in touch with sent it to me the second it was released. I read over it 4 times, I think, until I soaked it all in. And obviously what I had read, I now had an understanding of the evidence against him, because I had been working in the blind the entire time, because I didn't have access to the affidavit of probable cause or know anything about the facts and evidence that they had against them to verify the arrest.
What was your reaction, though? Were you surprised by the amount of evidence? Did you think it was solid?
I stated a couple times to other individuals and other outlets that the way I would classify it, based upon my experience doing this for 17 years, read about 25 homicide affidavits of probable cause at least, and represented several homicides, capital homicides, through trial. I wasn't too surprised. I thought it was a strong circumstantial case that had holes and that could be exposed by a competent, good defense attorney like Attorney Taylor, I felt.
What would you say the biggest holes are?
I have been talking about like the biggest evidence and going step by step, because defense is going to attack each part of the evidence separately, really, because the Commonwealth's case is really based upon circumstantial evidence. There's no direct evidence against Bryan. So their case is in the whole, whereas defense will be attacking each piece of evidence individually, I believe. At least that would be my trial strategy. So if you talk about the sheath being found in the room, you have DNA recovered from the button of the closure of the sheath. What you can say about that is it's transferred DNA, it's touch DNA. That DNA could be on there. Nobody knows how long, if undisturbed. Certainly it could be a year, it could be longer. Experts going to testify that obviously it was placed on there because Bryan touched it, but they can't say when he touched it. Now, there could be additional evidence that comes out about that sheath. One being, it could be actual DNA on it. The state police executed a search warrant of Bryan's blood when they were here in Pennsylvania. And we don't know if that's additional evidence that may come out if there's unidentified blood on the sheath. In addition to the sheath, the knife itself, obviously not found, but we don't have the results of the autopsy, so we don't know if it's consistent with a straight edge weapon or not. Certainly that would change my feelings about the affidavit of probable cause too.
Okay, so for the questions, the Tokyo Grizzly Cub said, do you think the gag order will extend all the way to the preliminary hearing? I don't know. I think so, but I don't know. Elgo is in the chat, one of the mods with legal experience. Elgo, do you think the gag order will extend all the way to the preliminary hearing? And who else asked a question? Someone was asking something else, but hold on one second. Yeah, I think that's about the only answer I have there. Also, do you think it's unethical of this former attorney to be talking so much? I think there's a lot of detail he's sharing, but I don't know if it's unethical. I was watching Peter Tragos, the lawyer you know, and his take on these interviews, and he has some interesting comments as well. So let me go part 2 of 3. So there's 3 parts. Okay, we're gonna play part 2 now.
Affidavit of probable cause, they don't match that. with Bryan. I would say that I reviewed I think it's at least one video of a previous encounter of the police at the home of the victims, where the individual who answers the door is actually in a pair of vans. I know I saw that, and I pointed that out last time I saw it, because that's what was interesting about that to me in the afternoon.
This pair of vans thing is interesting because, of course, a lot of people that lived in that house, the victims and the surviving roommates included, have vans. We can see it in many pictures. So it is going to be interesting to prove that it was that latent footprint outside of DM's door, that's Kohberger's. Of course, the size will make a difference, but still, I think the prosecuting team has a lot to prove. Don't you think? Okay, carrying on.
After probable cause. Now, again, it could come back that Bryan has a pair of vans that could possibly match that. You talk about the vehicle. The vehicle's interesting because, I mean, there is no direct evidence that it's Bryan's vehicle. They used the cell phone pings, tower pings, to link the vehicle to its whereabouts the night close to the home. They used that to track it, allegedly. But there's really no evidence that it's still Bryan's vehicle. You have the license plate on the back, not on the front. I understand that, but I'm sure.
So yeah, there's lots of interesting info in here. Would be the second and a half time I'm listening to this, and I'm like, whoa! Every time I hear it, there's a lot of details that he's sharing here as well, and things to think about. The latent shoe print was found on the second crime scene processing, and only with that amino black, which is like luminol, right? So it couldn't be seen with the naked eye. So, with everyone running through the house, from what we know, and panicking and then calling 911 and all of that, we can't say that is definitively Kohberger's van shoe, right? Very interesting. Lots to consider.
It's still not the only white Hyundai Elantra 2011 to 2016 that would match that description in the area. And you have no one that places Bryan behind the wheel of the vehicle. So again, another hold in regards to that, because you can't verify that he's the one driving the vehicle.
But they don't have to put all of that in the probable cause, though, right? I mean, could they know that?
No, absolutely not. This is just holes that I got from the affidavit of probable cause that the prosecution could clearly clear up, right? And really, you anticipate it as defense counsel that they're going to have additional evidence to clear this up. The one that's going to be difficult is the cell phone tower pings, though, found to clear up, because Bryan's phone was off from approximately, I think it's 2:30 to 4:30 or 4:45. I don't know the exact times. And cell phone tower pings we like to call it, as defense counsel, junk science, not exact science. The cell phone tower ping is that when you send a signal out, it pings off of.
There's so much here. Oh, my word. Also, Elgo said, full disclosure, lawyer from Chile. I think the gag order will go on until trial, and it'll just be my personal preference to not discuss the details. That's for a jury to hear. Elgo, also, could you please send me an email? I've never even emailed you, and I would love to ask you some legal questions sometimes. If possible. That would be great, Elgo. So, yeah, they're very interesting as well. We've got lots of lawyers in the house here as well. I believe Barbara's also got legal experience. I would never have spoken about my conclusions or case details, but maybe different ethics rules there, but not to say anything at all, in my opinion. Right? I mean, we're all glad he's saying something, because we're getting to learn a lot of things and think about what could be presented by the prosecution team and the defense team. There's a lot to think about. TNT says, you talk so fast, sometimes it's hard to understand. And that's why there's a toggle switch. And you can change the speed at which you listen to me to 0.5 or 0.75 if you want. I'm not going to change who and what I am. I try my best. And in fact, did you know that when I talk to you guys on a live stream, it feels really slow to me, because I listen to everything on 1.5 or 2 times speed. So everything. There's very few channels that I can't listen to on 2 times speed. Okay. So let's continue listening here, and I'm very excited to see all your thoughts as this unfolds. Let me know what you're thinking as we listen to this.
The tower. When it hits that tower, it creates a radius as to where you could be placed around that tower. Now, this was approximately, as the crow flies, 8 miles away, I believe, and cell phone tower ping information usually is a 20-mile radius. That's how the expert is going to testify. The only way to get around that is if there's GPS evidence. Now, so when he turned his phone on, or right before he turned it off, you're going to have GPS evidence up until the point likely of that in a cell phone dump. And then you're going to have GPS location the second it gets turned back on. That's not in the affidavit of probable cause. It's certainly through the 60,000 plus pages that'll be generated from a forensic review of his cell phone. So certainly it's more evidence that you're going to be looking at. Again, there's a lot of things. It's like I said, it's a little, I know I'm saying it contradictory that it's a strong circumstantial, but there's holes. I anticipate those holes to grow smaller when the prosecution puts their entire case on it and collects all their evidence, but maybe not. I don't know. But there are certainly holes in the case, and the affidavit of probable cause is just a start. We're in the infancy of the case, and I really do pretty much bank on the Commonwealth. Well, I say Commonwealth because it's Pennsylvania, but the prosecution coming up with more evidence, obviously.
The statement that you released from Kohberger, where he, said that he was innocent, essentially, did you write the statement with him? I don't know if you can share how that statement came about.
The statement came about Friday night when I talked to him. I to understand, on Friday, from we were closed, we had a half day. So I knew I wanted to plan out sort of the attack of what I wanted to get done. What I know I needed to have get done because of the immediate exposure I anticipated with the case. I didn't expect it to be like this. I didn't expect it to be more, I've been told by the AOPC, which is court administration, that really more calls than were on Cosby. They were calling about this. So I sort of got a heads up of what to expect. So I sat down in my office at 12 noon on Friday, and I wanted to plan this out as to what I wanted to get done. Two things that I felt most important is making contact with the Idaho.
Okay, so Seema is asking, so I'm assuming also there must be lots of people joining while we're busy with this. Brian Enton is talking to Jason LaBar, who's Bryan Kohberger's former attorney, just the extradition attorney from Pennsylvania. As soon as Bryan Kohberger was extradited, then he was no longer his attorney. So now he's speaking about what he thinks about the case, the research he did, the holes in the case and all that, even though he told Bryan Kohberger, don't tell me anything. Don't you tell me anything about this case because I don't want to know. I'm just here for the extradition. So I do wonder if Brian did tell him anything. What's interesting is that he didn't say, and yesterday, so if you missed the stream yesterday, go watch that because we listened to Jason LaBar also speaking to the media. And he said, what was interesting is he said he's eager to be exonerated. And he never once really said, I'm innocent, which is also what we saw, for example, in the Delphi case from Richard Allen, when he wrote the letter to the judge. He didn't say, I'm innocent, please help me. I need a good defense attorney, or can you assign me one? There's no I'm innocent going on here. He's playing it real cool and just being like, okay, just not saying much, except he's eager to get exonerated. Higher ground 0001 says circumstantial. There's a surviving witness to ID him. Yeah, and what they were saying is that a surviving witness to ID him, of course, describing an athletic male with bushy eyebrows and a black mask on over his face, like that could meet a lot of descriptions for a lot of people. To still definitively prove that was Bryan Kohberger at the scene could be difficult, but that knife sheath, I mean, that's a bit of a giveaway. And then the car, and we don't know the exact details they have because they initially said a 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. And I believe that does not have a tracking device or that type of technology, but apparently a 2015 one might have it. So that's also interesting. And of course, the probable cause affidavit is only probable cause. It's just the bare minimum they need to arrest this guy. So can you imagine how much else they know? And we'll look at some clips after this. A clip from Law and Crime Network's Sidebar, where O.J. Simpson's attorney talks about his thoughts about it. And he reminded everyone in a different clip that I saw the other day that this case is for the prosecution to prove that he is guilty. Because, of course, he's innocent until proven guilty. So we got to think about it that way, of course. It's not for the defense to prove that he's innocent. They don't need to, do that. That's for the prosecution to prove that he's guilty. That's the task at hand, to prove that he's the guy that did this. Yes. Okay. So let's continue here.
Public Defense Commission, obviously talking to Brian as soon as possible, getting a statement out. based upon my conversation with Bryan, obviously, talking to the family and getting potentially another statement out. And really from noon to approximately 4:30, I took time to search relevant law, Idaho law, in reference what Bryan would expect upon extradition and returning back. So then I went out to the jail at 5 o'clock. I know there was a lot of people, a lot of news media outlet at the jail at that time. But I knew it was dark out, so I could essentially sneak in under the cover of dark and be able to talk to him without anyone knowing that I was actually there. And I spoke to him for about an hour. I let him know about the statement, that I wanted to get a statement out there because with all of the news media, I knew there was going to obviously be issues as far as him receiving potentially a fair trial, people jumping to conclusions. Automatically you worry about the presumption of innocence and the integrity of the criminal justice system. So I said, Bryan, is it okay if we get a statement out? And that's when he brought up the eager to be exonerated language. And obviously that was included in the statement.
So that was him. That was him who wanted to put that in.
The eager to be exonerated was the language he used. We put it in the statement. But obviously when I talked to him about the eager to be exonerated, to me, when we talked about it, it was more or less he was asserting innocence, but that's the language he used.
Yeah, she said athletic male. That's what we said. Athletic, but not like buff, by what she described, right? Also, uncivil law. Welcome to the stream. You say, this is a lot for an attorney to say. Certainly got my attention how much he's saying. A lot of it is obvious if you think about it, but still strange to hear defense lawyers say so much, right? Thank you so much. You guys are like, she's the goat. She's the queen. Damn, you guys are so sweet. Thank you so much. Curtsy to our true crime queen. She's the best. Oh, thank you. Yes, he said exonerated, not innocent. Exactly. Eager to be exonerated. Didn't say, I'm innocent. So that's it. And they've got one more clip here. One more. Here we go.
Yes, but my understanding, this
Kohberger can get a fair trial here in Moscow, Idaho.
There is no way he can get a fair trial in Moscow, Idaho. I don't know if he can get a fair trial in Idaho.
Just because of the attention, you think, or?
Yeah, obviously due to all the media news outlets, the attention it has gotten. You're talking about an international case now, and really a social media is also an issue here. This is really one of the first cases. You had the Patino. I think Patino is correct.
Petito, yeah, Gabby Petito, yeah.
The Gabby Patino case. That had something like this, but my understanding about this case specific. This has blown up on social media to a point where most people ages of 18 to 25 have actually posted comments on it. So I'm not on social media. I don't believe in social media. People are too free to express their really views without repercussions, to say. And in this case, a lot of people have already expressed.
At that point, the lawyer, Peter Dragos said, he's not saying that free speech isn't allowed, just that people might say a lot of hateful things or name people and say this person is 100% a killer or guilty or whatever the hell. That's what he's probably describing there. And civil law says, this is a lot of confidential communications. Makes me nervous and makes me feel uncomfortable. For me, it was okay until he said that he had conversations with Bryan Kohberger and his dad. I'm like, that made me feel a bit uncomfortable. Like, don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. How about it? Okay, we're almost done with this.
Either guilt or innocence. And really neither helps either the prosecution or defense. Because, listen, at the end of things here, and I want to make this very clear and important, and the family would really make this clear and important. Listen, there's 4 families suffering from loss, right? They will never get their loved ones back. And they want justice, okay? But we want to make sure, everyone wants to make sure that the right guy is the one that they have at trial and the one who ultimately is convicted. Whether that ends up being Bryan or not, I can't say. The evidence will ultimately come out at trial. But the important thing is that he's presumed innocent until proven otherwise.
And just my last question, there's the hearing tomorrow morning, the status hearing, where they'll talk about the possibility of a preliminary hearing. It's my understanding the defense can waive that. Do you think there should be a preliminary hearing? I mean, if this was your case now, is that in his best interest?
Well, I mean, my understanding is it is going to be a status hearing. I had watched the initial arraignment, and I know that his attorney Taylor had requested for a status hearing, but I believe the judge listed it for a preliminary hearing. So I was a little bit confused also, but I think it's been verified that it is just a status hearing tomorrow. And I absolutely anticipate there to be a very long preliminary hearing at some point, whether that happens tomorrow or in the future. I would anticipate a preliminary hearing based upon the affidavit of probable cause,
which is happening.
Okay.
And if I circle back just a little bit, the one thing that I didn't address was the shaky ID by DM in the affidavit of probable cause. I would, without doubt, say that is at best a shaky ID that any defense counsel is going to have a field day with on cross-examination.
What do you mean by shaky ID?
Well, first of all, it's not an ID of Bryan Kohberger. It's an ID of a person who has an athletic, non-muscular build, approximately 5'10", with bushy eyebrows,
Right.
wearing a mask. It's dark, obviously, likely. I'm assuming it's dark. We won't know until DM actually testifies. But really, when you think about it, that's the only direct evidence allegedly putting Bryan at the scene, if it's Bryan who's ID'd. So certainly, I can't say that it's a direct evidentiary link to Bryan. And I certainly think once examination occurs of DM, there's going to be real issues with even using her testimony.
Interesting. Well, thank you. That was really helpful.
Okay, so that was his former extradition attorney. It's not his attorney now. He's got a new defense attorney, as we know. We've looked at that as well, deep dive. Let's have a look at what Bryan Anthony's saying now. People are saying he's posted. Here is my latest from Kohberger's hearing. No bail, preliminary hearing set for June 26th.
Minutes or so, and we learned that they are going to have a preliminary hearing, which is a big deal, but it's not going to be until June 26th. So almost 6 months from now. So we are likely not going to learn much more about this case until June. The lawyer for Bryan Kohberger basically saying that they did want to have the hearing, but they needed time to go over all the details of the case. And the prosecution and the defense agreed that June would be a good time for that. They estimated that this preliminary hearing that starts in June will last anywhere from 3 to 5 days. And again, it's going to be significant, Marnie, because at the preliminary hearing, the way the law works here in Idaho, more evidence will come out and both sides will be able to question witnesses. So we may hear from people we haven't heard from before, like the surviving roommate who saw the killer walk by, according to police. Take a look at this video. I believe this is video. You know, this is actually not video from today. This is from last time, because I noticed Kohberger was wearing a different outfit. You see there, this is from the last hearing last week. He was in a different shirt today. He was in a T-shirt today. When he came in, Marnie, very quiet, like normal, didn't look back at anyone sitting in the audience, just sort of looked straight ahead, answered the judge's questions. And it was short, and things will sort of be at a standstill, at least for the public, until mid-June, Marnie.
Bryan, inside of the courtroom, were the families present this morning? What was the composition of the folks who were allowed in?
Yeah, the families were not there from what we could tell, because last time they were in the front row and we didn't see any family members this time. I'm told that Kaylee Goncalves' family decided that they were going to watch this on Zoom. It was just too much for them to be here today. I mean, you can imagine how emotional it is, Marnie, because it's a small courtroom. So where they sit in the front row, they're very, very close to Kohberger, just a couple feet away, which is obviously extremely overwhelming to be that close to the man accused of killing your loved one. We're also told that the prosecutors have been in constant communication with the families. So basically they update them and let them know, look, this is going to be a significant hearing. We think you should be there, or this is going to be a short hearing, really just a scheduling hearing. And that was the case today. Very, very short. They just wanted to schedule this preliminary hearing. So the indication is the prosecution let the families know, like, hey, it might not be worth the hardship and the emotional toll of coming today. we'll just keep you posted with what happens.
Bryan, describe what Kohberger looked like, how he acted, any characteristics that stood out to you about his appearance this morning, different than when we saw him the first time in the video people are seeing now?
Yeah, so this is actually now the video from today, Marnie. And again, I can tell because of the t-shirt. I noticed that he was wearing a t-shirt today. So this is just from about a few minutes ago. So he looked forward the whole time, as you see. That's his public defender who did most of the talking. Didn't look back at all. Seemed a little fidgety when he first came in, but basically it had the same sort of vibe that he did the last other times, the last two other times that I saw him, the last time here in Idaho and the first time in Pennsylvania. His public defender did most of the talking, explained that that she had already reached out to the prosecution and that they agreed on this June date. And then the judge basically had to question Kohberger and make sure that he was okay with waiving his right to a speedy preliminary hearing, because the way the law works here in Idaho, you're supposed to have your preliminary hearing within 14 days of getting arrested. This is obviously going to be 6 months out. So the judge had to get on the record with Kohberger that he was okay with waiving his right to a speedy preliminary hearing.
I don't want to put the cart before the horse here, Bryan, but if and when this goes to trial, is there any discussion yet about a change of venue?
There is discussion, not officially in court at this point, but everybody's sort of talking about it in town because it seems like that could be a very real scenario that both sides could possibly agree on. I mean, this is a very, very small town. It's a college town. A lot of people knew the victims or were somehow connected to the victims. Almost everybody is connected to the university. So, you know, experts that we've interviewed really on both sides, defense attorneys and prosecutors, have said it might not be a bad idea to move this to move the trial to perhaps a place like Boise.
Another step in what will be a long process. Bryan Enton in Moscow this morning. We have learned now that a preliminary hearing will take place in June for Bryan.
June 26th. We love Marnie. I was excited when I see Marnie, and here's Bryan Enton as well, updating us live from the courtroom there. So the preliminary hearing, as we heard it here, it's June 26th. That's when it's set for. Also, I can see most people are just, you're mostly fascinated by this face of his. So let's look at it. I think everybody's just focused on, ooh, he's got a scratch on his face. So this photo is a little altered, but it does, of course, enhance all the scratches and things. So yes, he's got scratches on his face. I don't know if that's a big deal or not. This bruising around his neck, interesting, but it could just be, it could be an anxiety thing. He could be picking his face. He could have shaved himself like that, nicked himself there, you know. I don't know. You guys are welcome to say what you think it is. So yes, and the lead prosecutor, yeah, you guys always call him Santa Claus. What the hell? But Bill Thompson will be the prosecutor in the case, yes. Okay, so latest for Idaho 4, as we can see, Josh Breslow says preliminary hearing for Bryan Kohberger set for June 26th at 9 a.m. PST to allow the defense to have time to look over evidence in the case. So they're going to be working hard for the next 6 months or so. If SWAT busted into my parents' home, pulled me out, and took me, I would be confused and freaking out about being innocent. I would insist on saying innocent, not exonerated. My family would be too. Good point, good point. Yeah, he doesn't say that. He's just like eager to be exonerated. Okay. So yeah, today he was wearing a t-shirt. He wasn't in the outfit he was in last time. I'm just going down here to see the latest updates as well, just so that we can catch it here. Entering the courtroom. Let's have a look at this clip here. Okay, there's no sound to it, but let's look at it. Here he is, entering the courtroom. Yeah. Let's hope he's not losing a ton of weight thinking he's going to be Ted Bundy and escaping through the ceiling. Do you guys remember that? It's in my Ted Bundy book as well. Ted Bundy, the second time he was caught. He escaped prison twice. He lost a bunch of weight and escaped through the ceiling, which I don't think is possible now. I hope not. If someone can go into the jail where is that, you let me know. But yeah, Ted Bundy lost a bunch of weight and then escaped by putting on the jail warden's clothes, I think, from what I remember. Damn, and walked out the front door of the prison like, bye-bye. Goodness me. But I think it's just more the vegan diet and the prison food. Calories not so high there. Not so high. Yes, Nancy Grace is also outside the house. Thank you, Armchair Sleuth. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I hope that you've all hit like on the video, shared it as well, so other Grizzlies know that we are live right now so they can watch. I just want to quickly check something. Change of venue. Okay, so uncivil law. Uncivil law, I'm going to check out your channel right after this. Change of venue, 100%. There's no hope of finding a jury here, right? Okay, so those are those updates. I just want to see what else I had pinned for you here. Oh yeah, this one. My goodness. I must forget this. I feel like that I've got a clip that I put together for you from Sidebar, right? With the attorney of O.J. Simpson. I wanted to show you that, but I don't want to keep you here forever and ever. I don't want this to be too long. So I think I might just link it at the end in the pinned comments. Okay. So look at this. Neighbor of Bryan Kohberger says the suspect talked about the student murders. We'll look at the video right afterwards, but they say a neighbor of Bryan Kohberger's in Pullman, Washington, said the suspect in the murder of 4 University of Idaho students spoke to him about the killings days after they occurred. The neighbor asked not to be identified. He brought it up in conversation. The neighbor exclusively told CBS News on Wednesday. He asked if I had heard about the murders, which I did. And then he said, yeah, seems like they have no leads. Seems like it was a crime of passion. Whoa. I must say, still figuring out the motive here for Bryan Kohberger. He's the suspect, of course, innocent or proven guilty. It's a little hard because it's not so cut and dry. It's just like, he really is like, they said they're on Hidden True Crime A. That forensic psychologist said he's like a mass shooter with a knife. Because he went, if you think of the car arriving in the area at 4:04 a.m., and already the car is speeding away at 4:20. That's 16 minutes. And he still has to park, get out the car, sneak into the house. So like this dude went in there and killed 4 people in about 10 to 12 minutes or something. That is so scary to think about. Like so hard. You know, just is that revenge? Is it a mission? Does he think he's some kind of, I don't know what, vigilante with weird belief systems? I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. But only he knows why. And hopefully in due time, we'll find out what the hell was that all about so we can understand. Thank you to Kat. Thank you so much. And let's see. And Kathleen R says, you like uncivil law. Kurt is super snarky. Oh, I love to hear that. Looking forward to seeing Kurt's comments and commentary legally. Yes, I'm going to check it out after. I'm sorry I haven't seen it yet before, but I'm very happy to look at it right after this today. So they say here, I mean, to think that he brought it up in conversation. He's not trying to avoid the conversation. He's bringing it up in conversation. What? And he's like, yeah, it seems like they have no leads. Seems like it was a crime of passion. At the time of our conversation, it was only a few days after it happened, so there wasn't much details out, the neighbor added. The search warrant for Kohberger's apartment in Pullman, Washington has been temporarily sealed by an Idaho judge. The judge said the details could prematurely end the investigation and create a threat to public safety. The important thing to note there is that search warrant was dated December 30th, which is also when they arrested him, right? So meaning it could be unsealed any minute now. I don't know if it will stay sealed or not, but what they were saying there, it could prematurely end the investigation if that search warrant leaks out because they hadn't yet arrested him and extradited him and all of that. Kohberger is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of students Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, who was stabbed at the woman's off-campus rental home in Moscow, Idaho. And then he was in court. So let's just watch this video here quick.
It happened. They'll be there. But
tonight, we have new details in the murder case of those 4 University of Idaho students. This is the spring semester got underway today ahead of suspect Bryan Kohberger's expected court appearance tomorrow. For the first time, we are hearing from one of Kohberger's neighbors. CBS's Lilia Luciano reports from Moscow.
Tonight, in an exclusive interview, a neighbor in the Pullman, Washington apartment building of suspect Bryan Kohberger says Kohberger spoke to him about the murders. The neighbor asked not to be identified.
He brought it up in conversation, asked if I had heard about the murders, and which I did. And then he said, yeah, it seems like they have no leads. Seems like it was a crime of passion. At the time of our conversation, it was only like, a few days after it had happened. So there wasn't much details out.
Also tonight, the search warrant for Kohberger's Washington apartment has been sealed temporarily. A judge saying the details could, quote, prematurely end the investigation and create a threat to public safety. Meanwhile, just 6 miles away at the University of Idaho, students are returning to class today for the first time since Kohberger's arrest. many, like freshman Madeline Pollock, expressing relief.
I was kind of glad to see a lot of cops around, just in case something did happen, they'll be there. But it feels very relieving, and like knowing he's behind bars.
Kohberger is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder.
Okay, the rest we know. See this next is, has anyone debunked the inside looking Reddit post yet? I haven't seen that debunked. There's those posts to look at. There's Papa Roger on Facebook, and of course there's also the Tapa Talk that we briefly looked at the other day. Everyone's saying, did you look at this? And yeah, we looked at it, you guys, briefly. And then I linked it for you. I think it's actually, it looks to me like when I click on the link that I shared, because that's where it was, it seems to have been deleted now, but it's all over Twitter if you want to see it, and all over Facebook and everything as well. John Dunn said, they should turn his apartment into a mop and bucket closet. Yes, imagine that. Never mind the house, 1122 King Road. It's like, whoa, his apartment. Scary as well. I wonder what the hell they found in there. Now, one thing I do want to show you quickly is this. I'm going to go to my own channel here to these shorts. So if you look at my channel, home, right, videos. So go to videos if you like shorter form content, because so it's not shorts, that's short form content. It's shorter. If you press for time, sometimes I do like summaries of what we discussed over there. And then the live stream ones are right here. Okay, so don't only rely on the live, go to videos, go to shorts and everything. And this would be Ethan Chapin's mom shared a statement on Facebook. So I made it in 2 parts because I couldn't read it all in 1 minute. So I'm going to play that for you in case you missed it. A statement saying, we've spent the last 8 weeks, besides the obvious, focused on Macy and Hunter. Cards, talks, walks, hikes, tears, you name it. Yesterday, we successfully dropped them off back at the University of Idaho. Hunter was very glad to be back at the fraternity, and Macy was warming up to the idea, but it was so good to hear all of the girls squeal with delight upon seeing her. It did this mama's heart good to hear it. The support from the University of Idaho and the MPD or ISP has been profound. Macy and Hunter are rock stars, and we couldn't be more proud of them. Their job now is to just be kids. Start where they left off. Keep goals and aspirations in mind. For an update, anything we or Ethan had is now frozen with the defense. For us, it involves 2 vehicles, ease belonging, and a nice set of golf clubs. We met with prosecutors, handled media inquiries, hopefully respectfully, managed, grieved, talked, and continue to try to process our new normal. However, nothing has changed. We spend no time being angry. That would be energy not well spent, and it still wouldn't change the outcome. We have to look ahead. I'll post a part. So Ethan Chapin's mom has released a statement saying, we've spent the last 8 weeks, besides the obvious, focused on Macy and Hunter. The next cards, next one. Go back. So that would part 1, and here's part 2. Thank you so much for... So this is part 2 of Ethan Chapin's parents' statement. What we've confirmed, Ethan is who he was because of our family. His foundation was unwavering. He was so loved, he didn't know any different. He was profoundly supported, and our family of 5 was different than others and so very special. He loved unconditionally. He was loyal to all. He was inclusive, carefree, happy, just the best person you could ever meet. And the stories are endless and amazing. He touched lives that we had no idea existed. Ethan was incredible. We did a great job. We will still do a great job. And as always, we are eternally grateful to so many of you. We can't possibly reply to all of your notes, but we read them all, and your kindness and support means the world to us. And I shall allow the memories to prod me into doing better with all those still living. Nicholas P. Woltersdorf, Jim, and Stacy. So this is part 2 of Ethan Chapin's parents. Okay, so that was great. So also you guys are asking about the rap song. Right, so just wait 1 second. Sorry, it's getting stuck a little bit there. Hello, computer. Okay, so let me take this away quickly. Hold on 1 second. My computer, I'm just overworking this thing. All right, so let's quickly go here. They say, imagine if they play this at trial. Imagine if they play this at the trial. Bryan Kohberger rap song surfaces online. As Bryan Kohberger, the University of Idaho murder suspect, spends time behind bars in a Pennysylvania jail awaiting his trial, netizens have discovered his old SoundCloud profile. The original rap song created by the 28-year-old has gone viral across social media platforms. It's also on my Twitter. I've tweet so much I couldn't find it right now. But follow me on Twitter at Grizzly. Gisela is my handle there in case you didn't find me. But yeah, I think it's this. Let's see if it plays. Imagine if we got striked for this. What? A copyright strike from Kohberger? Oh boy, I'm gonna go forward to where he sings.
Like I'm afraid to get up on this. Look at this, my mind is pissed and I keep running. Why is this? When I hit it, always leave him stunning. Always gentle giant, no defiance, all building a alliance. And still think that I am peasant, I stuck in the future. But I'm never looking at the fucking price.
It really doesn't sound like him, but we don't know what exactly he sounds like. Right? But that's the rap song. I'll link this as well afterwards for you if you want to actually listen to it. I don't know if I actually want to listen to it, right? So this I will link for you. If you just type in Bryan Kohberger rap song, you'll find it. You'll find it. Bryan Kohberger XR. Remember, that's also, isn't that also his name on the Tapas Talk? SoundCloud rap, and they say, yes, this is actually him. And they say internet users were assured that the song was sung by the suspect himself, XR Music, which refers to one of his email addresses. The similarity in his voice and that in the song also left them shocked. So I don't know if it is or isn't, but that's what people are going on about. No, I didn't get a copy strike. I'm saying imagine if I do, because YouTube is so sensitive when it comes to music. Okay. Hold on 1 second, please. Analysis of a crime with CD says, do you have the discovery docs? If not, I'll send them to you. Please do send them to me. I don't know. I've got so many documents. I don't know if I have the discovery docs. Let's see what you sent. Let us see what you sent me, guys. Can you send it to me? Okay, wait. Sorry. Let me take this off the screen. So it's 1 second. I'm looking. I think it's also on Twitter, isn't it? Idaho 4. Let's go here. I saw earlier there were discovery docs being shared somewhere here. Those I don't have yet. Discovery. Okay. Let's look at this. From Twitter. State of Idaho plaintiff versus Bryan C. Kohberger. To the prosecuting attorney. Comes now Bryan C. Kohberger, by and through the attorney of record, and Taylor, public defender, and pursuant to Rule 16 of the Idaho Rules of Criminal Procedure, the Idaho Rules of Evidence, the 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th, and 14th Amendments to the Constitution of the United States, in Article 1, 2, 13, and 17, okay, hereby requests disclosure of information, evidence, and materials pursuant to ICR and the aforementioned constitutional provisions, including but not limited to the following information, evidence, and materials. 1. Statements of the defendant. Permit the defendant to inspect and copy or photograph any relevant written or recorded statements made by the defendant or copies thereof. Sorry if it's not, I can try to zoom in. It's going to be hard on Twitter. Copies thereof within the possession, custody, or control of the state, the existence of which is known or is available to the prosecuting attorney by the exercise of due diligence, and also the substance of any relevant oral statement made by the defendant, whether before or after arrest, to a peace officer, prosecuting attorney, or his agent, and the recorded testimony of the defendant before a grand jury which relates to the offense charged. Okay? I feel like I've read this before, but I'm not 100% sure because I've read so many documents. Thank you, Rabbit. So then they say, statements of co-defendant. That's what people are going on about, I see. Any written or recorded statements by a co-defendant and the substance of any relevant oral statements made by a co-defendant, whether before or after arrest, in response to interrogation, by any person known by the co-defendant to be a peace officer or agent of the prosecuting attorney, or which are otherwise relevant to the offense charged. 3 is the defendant's prior record, a copy of the defendant's prior record, if any, as is then or may become available to the prosecuting attorney. 4, documents and tangible objects. Permit the defendant to inspect and copy all books, papers, documents, photographs, tangible objects and copies and portions thereof, which are in the possession or control of the prosecuting attorney, and which are material to the preparation of the defense, or intended for use by the prosecutor as evidence at trial, or obtained from or belonging to the defendant. Reports, if there's any legal experts here, Elgo, Caroline, Barbara, analysis for crime with CD. What does this number 2 mean, huh? Why do they say statements of a co-defendant? Okay, so 5, reports of examinations and tests. Permit the defendant to inspect and copy any results or reports of physical and mental examinations and of scientific tests or experiments made in connection with a particular case that are in the possession, custody, or control of the prosecuting attorney, or the existence of which is known or is available to the prosecuting attorney by the exercise of due diligence. 6. State witnesses provide a written list of the names, addresses, phone numbers, and or reasonable means of contact for all persons having knowledge of relevant facts who may be called by the prosecuting attorney as witnesses at trial, together with the NCIC report and a Spillman report of any such person. Provide the statements made by the prosecuting witness or prospective witnesses. Okay, so this, okay, I just want to see, is there another page? Oh, damn, it goes on. Must I keep reading it? That's the thing. Barbara says it's implying someone else is guilty. Oh, my word. Imagine if there's going to be a plot twist in this whole case. Yes, so this is a request for discovery. I wonder if they're trying to cast doubt, you know? Would be a strategy. Yeah, it's standard. The standard. Misdirection. Interesting. And analysis of a crime with CD says it could just be a strategy. Remember what he said when arrested. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to wait till I get the whole document and read it and analyze it all myself. Then I'm going to bring it to you guys and be like, what? But it seems like, yeah, a request for discovery. And then, of course, the defense again, as we saw, like in the Delphi case, they're doing an excellent job of casting doubt. Like the whole internet, oh my word, is there going to be another person? I mean, there could be, but we don't know that. The Moscow PD said, we believe this person acted alone. We believe we've got the guy. So we shall see. Vanderchimp, a special thank you to the lurkers lurking right now. And we know you're out there watching, not chatting, huh? Whether you love it or you hate it or you love to hate it, welcome. I hope you'll hit the subscribe button, like the video. And just remember, even if you don't like the video, if you thumbs down it, it's still an interaction and it's great for me. So do that if you want to, preferably like it. Uncivil Law says 7,500 people watching the stream is impressive. Oh, thank you so much. Welcome to all the new members. Thank you to everyone who bought a super sticker and things like that today, joining membership. If you want to, if you really want to impress me, you go over to Patreon. Love Patreon. So there's a few Grizzlies there already. That's where I share documents and things as well. Documents, videos, behind the scenes things, notifications for when I'm actually going live in case it doesn't work on YouTube. So yes, Patreon's the place to be. Thank you everyone for being here. I'm going to now go check out Uncivil Law. Oh, yes, indeed. I'm going to check it out. I've already got it pinned here. Let me show you. And I always keep my word. You know what I mean? Huh? We want to check this out right after this. Oh, yes. So guess what I'll be doing? I'll be drinking coffee and watching Uncivil Law next. What are you guys going to be doing? Mad Pickens says, sorry for lurking. Don't be sorry for lurking. Thank you for lurking. Thank you for watching. Lurkers are welcome. Okay, guys. So I will, when there's more news, because I'm sure there's going to be a whole bunch more, we'll get nice, clean footage, you know, of today from Kohberger in court and all that. Maybe I could make some kind of a case file or something, put them all together, string them all like from when he was in before and now and all of that. And we'll meet again very soon. So make sure that you are subscribed with a bell on so that you know when I'm next going live or uploading or doing something. Thank you so much. Okay. So thank you, mods, patrons, members, lurkers, subscribers, everyone. See you in the next one. Bye.